First contact with the impossible commander, Zix-4 adjusted his 4 optical sensors as he stared at the massive shape floating in the void. His salvage vessel, the Scrap Hunter, had been combing the outer rim for derelict ships and valuable metals for the past 3 cycles, but nothing had prepared him for this discovery. The object before them defied explanation. It stretched nearly 4 kilometers from bow to stern, its hull crafted from a dark metallic substance that seemed to absorb the light from nearby stars. The design was unlike anything in the current galactic database, sleek yet aggressive, beautiful yet terrifying. Sensor Officer Creenine, run another deep scan, Zix-4 commanded, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had survived 20 years in the dangerous profession of space salvage. Creenine, a multi-tentacled being from the aquatic worlds, manipulated her control interface with practiced precision. Commander, the readings remain consistent. The vessel appears to be constructed from compressed dark matter, reinforced with quantum-stabilized alloys. The technology is at least 3 centuries old, yet the hull shows no signs of degradation. The bridge of the Scrap Hunter fell silent. Every member of the diverse crew understood the implications. Ships did not survive 3 centuries in the void without maintenance. Space was hostile. Radiation, micrometeorites, and the cold emptiness itself conspired to destroy anything left unprotected. Any life signs? Zix-4 asked, though he expected the negative response. None detected, sir. However, there are faint energy readings emanating from the core sections. It appears some systems remain active, though barely. Zix-4's mandibles clicked. Thoughtfully, his species, the Zephyrians, had evolved from insectoid ancestors and retained many of their behavioral patterns. The clicking sound indicated deep concentration. Navigation Officer Vex-2, bring us alongside. Maintain a safe distance of 500 meters. I want to study this vessel before we attempt boarding. Vex-2, a crystalline being whose body refracted light in mesmerizing patterns, executed the maneuver with characteristic precision. As they drew closer, more details became visible on the mysterious ship. The hull was covered in intricate patterns that might have been decorative elements or functional components. Strange symbols were etched along the sides, too alien to be immediately recognizable. Most unsettling were the weapon ports, hundreds of them scattered across every visible surface, like the eyes of some cosmic predator. Commander called out Dr. Vex-7, the ship's xenoarchaeologist. I'm detecting electromagnetic signatures consistent with quantum processing systems. This isn't just a ship, it's a computational matrix of incredible complexity. Dr. Vex-7 belonged to a species known for their analytical minds and photographic memories. If she was impressed by the technology, it truly was extraordinary. Doctor, we should proceed with extreme caution. A ship this advanced, preserved this well, suggests technology far beyond our current understanding. There could be automated defense systems, or worse. Zix-4 considered this. His crew had encountered automated defense systems before, usually with unpleasant results. But the potential value of this discovery outweighed the risks. A ship of this size and technological sophistication could provide enough salvage to retire his entire crew in luxury. Prepare a boarding party. Full environmental suits, heavy scanners, and emergency teleportation beacons. If anything goes wrong, I want immediate extraction capability. The boarding party consisted of 5 crew members: Zix-4 himself, Chief Engineer Mox-3, Security Officer Rax-1, Medical Officer Lysate, and Dr. Vexivan. Each wore state-of-the-art environmental suits designed to protect against radiation, toxic atmospheres, and temperature extremes. They approached the mysterious vessel in a small shuttle, searching for an access point. The ship's surface was remarkably smooth, with no obvious airlocks or docking bays visible. There, Dr. Vexivan pointed to a section of the hull where the patterns seemed to form a rectangular outline that might be a concealed entrance. As their shuttle drew near, something unexpected happened. The rectangular section began to glow with soft blue light, and the whole material simply dissolved, revealing a perfectly sized docking bay within. "The ship is responding to our presence," Mox 3 observed, his mechanical voice modulated by his cybernetic vocal implants. "Either it has sophisticated proximity sensors, or something inside is aware of us." The docking bay was large enough to accommodate their shuttle with room to spare. As they entered, atmospheric force field barriers sealed behind them, and breathable air began flooding the chamber. The technology required for such seamless operation was staggering. "Atmospheric composition is compatible with most of our species," Lisette reported, checking her medical scanners. "Oxygen-nitrogen base with trace elements. It's almost as if the ship adjusted the mixture specifically for us." They disembarked into a corridor that stretched in both directions, lit by strips of bioluminescent material embedded in the walls. The architecture was clearly designed for bipedal beings taller than most current galactic species, with high ceilings and wide passages. "The construction materials are incredible," Moxtree said, running his scanners along the walls. "Smart metals, quantum-coherent power distribution, and something I've never seen before. The walls appear to be growing." Asterisk indeed, as they watched. Hairline cracks in the wall surfaces sealed themselves, and scuff marks from their boots disappeared within seconds. They proceeded deeper into the vessel, following the main corridor toward what their scanners indicated was the central command area. Along the way, they passed numerous sealed chambers and side passages, each sealed by doors marked with the same alien symbols they had observed on the exterior. "Commander," Dr. Vex 7 said suddenly, "I'm getting translation matches for these symbols. The ship's computer appears to be feeding linguistic data directly to our universal translators." As if responding to her words, the symbols on the nearest door began to shimmer and change, resolving into text they could read. "Crew quarters, Section 7. The ship is definitely aware of us," Zix4 said grimly. "Everyone, stay alert. If this is a trap, it's the most sophisticated one I've ever encountered." They reached what appeared to be the central command center, a vast circular chamber dominated by a raised platform in the center. The walls were covered with dormant display screens and control interfaces, all dark and silent. As they stepped onto the central platform, the chamber came alive. Lights blazed to life, displays activated, and a low harmonic vibration filled the air. In the center of the platform, a column of light began to form. The light coalesced, taking shape as a humanoid figure. It was tall and lean, with features that were aesthetically pleasing yet alien to their experience. The figure appeared to be composed entirely of coherent energy, translucent and glowing with soft blue radiance. "Greetings," the figure said, its voice carrying clearly through the chamber, despite having no apparent physical form. "I am Captain Alina Vasquez of the Earth Defense. Force Vessel Eternal Vigil. You are the first visitors we have encountered in 317 years." The boarding party stood in stunned silence. They were facing a member of the legendary human species, a race that had vanished from this region of space centuries ago, leaving behind only ruins and legends. You are human, Dr. Vex-7 managed. To say I was human, Captain Vasquez replied. Now I am something more, and perhaps something less. I am the preserved consciousness of my former self, uploaded into this ship's quantum matrix before my physical form perished. Your species disappeared long ago, Zix-4 said. How can you still be here? Captain Vasquez moved closer, her form flickering slightly as she walked. Humans did not disappear, Commander. We evolved beyond the need for physical bodies, but some of us chose to remain behind, to guard what we left and to watch over those who would come after. She gestured to the displays around them, which now showed star maps and tactical readouts. This ship, and 11 others like it, were positioned throughout human space to serve as guardians. We have been sleeping, waiting for a reason to wake. What kind of reason? Rax-1 asked, his hand instinctively moving to his weapon. Threats to innocent life, crises that require intervention. The emergence of dangers that peaceful species cannot handle alone. Captain Vasquez turned to face each of them in turn. Your arrival here is not coincidence. Our sensors have detected something. Approaching this sector, something that has not been seen for millennia. The main display shifted to show deep space scanner readings. Moving through the void, barely detectable even by the ship's advanced sensors, were massive shapes, dozens of them, traveling in formation toward inhabited systems. What are they? Lease 28 asked. The harvesters, Captain Vasquez said, her voice taking on a grave tone. An ancient machine intelligence that consumes entire civilizations, converting organic matter into computational substrate for their collective consciousness. They were defeated and driven into dark space eons ago, but now they have returned. The implications hit the boarding party like a physical blow. The inhabited systems in this sector contained billions of beings across dozens of species. If these harvesters were as dangerous as Captain Vasquez suggested, it would be genocide on an unimaginable scale. How long before they reach the inhabited worlds? Zix-4 asked. Approximately 72 standard hours. They are moving slowly, gathering resources as they travel, but their arrival is inevitable. What can be done? How many ships do your people have? What kind of weapons? Captain Vasquez smiled, an expression that somehow conveyed both sadness and determination. Commander, you misunderstand our situation. We are not a fleet of ships. We are a network of consciousnesses sharing a distributed quantum matrix. Each of our vessels contains the uploaded minds of entire human crews, preserved for centuries. She moved to the central command chair, and as she did, her form became more solid, more real. When fully awakened, each ship becomes home to 300 human souls, all working in perfect coordination. We have weapons and defenses that make conventional military technology seem primitive. Then you can stop these harvesters, perhaps, but not alone. The enemy we face learns and adapts. They have had millennia to evolve their strategies. We will need allies, and we will need the creativity and unpredictability that comes from diverse organic minds working together. Around the chamber, other figures began to materialize, dozens of them, all with the same translucent energy appearance as Captain Vasquez. They moved to control stations throughout the room, and the ship's systems began coming fully online for the first time in centuries. What do you need from us? Dr. Vex-7 asked. Return to your salvage fleet. Contact every government, every military force, every trading consortium in this sector. Tell them that humanity's guardians have awakened, and that all who value life must unite against the coming darkness. The ship around them hummed with increasing power. Through the chamber's viewports, they could see energy crackling along the hull as weapon systems charged and defensive fields activated. "Will they believe us?" Zix-4 asked. Captain Vasquez stood from the command chair, now appearing completely solid and real. "Show them this." The main display activated, broadcasting on all known communication frequencies throughout the sector. Captain Vasquez's image appeared on screens across dozens of worlds as she delivered a message that would change the course of history. "Citizens of the galaxy," she began, "I am Captain Alina Vasquez, speaking for the remnant of humanity that chose to remain as guardians of this space. An ancient enemy approaches, one that threatens all organic life. In 72 hours, the harvesters will reach your worlds. Unite your fleets, gather your courage, and prepare to fight for the right to exist. Humanity stands with you." The transmission ended, leaving the boarding party in awed silence. They had come seeking salvage and had instead found themselves at the center of a cosmic conflict that would determine the fate of entire civilizations. "The other Guardian ships are awakening," Captain Vasquez reported. 11 vessels, each containing the preserved souls of the best humanity had to offer. "We have slept long enough." When ghosts become guardians, the response to Captain Vasquez's broadcast was immediate and chaotic. Across the sector, military commanders scrambled to understand the implications of the message. Some dismissed it as an elaborate hoax, while others recognized the technological sophistication required to simultaneously broadcast on every communication channel as evidence of its authenticity. Commander Zix-4 and his boarding party returned to the Scrap Hunter to find their ship surrounded by vessels from a dozen different species. Word of their discovery had spread through civilian communication networks faster than official military channels. Commander Crenine reported, "We're receiving priority communications from the Galactic Defense Coalition, the Independent Traders Alliance, and at least 6 planetary governments. They all want to know about the human ship." Through the viewports, they could see the Eternal Vigil transforming. Sections of the hull were reconfiguring themselves, revealing weapon arrays and sensor clusters that had been hidden beneath the smooth exterior. The ship was becoming something designed for war. Incoming transmission from Admiral Corksprime of the Coalition Defense Fleet. "That's to," announced. The main screen activated, showing a massive reptilian being whose species was known for their military prowess. Admiral Corksprime's scarred hide and battle decorations marked him as a veteran of countless conflicts. "Commander Zix-4, I need immediate confirmation of your claims. Are you actually in contact with active human consciousness?" Before Zix-4 could respond, Captain Vasquez's voice filled the bridge. "Admiral Corksprime, this is Captain Alina Vasquez. Your service record indicates 43 years of military experience and decorated performance in the frontier wars. I believe we can work together." The Admiral's eyes widened. "Impossible. Humans have been extinct for centuries." "Not extinct, Admiral. Evolved, and currently preparing to defend your people against a threat that makes your previous conflicts seem like training exercises." Captain Vasquez's image appeared on the screen beside the Admiral's, her energy form clearly visible. "I'm transmitting tactical data on the Harvester fleet. Study it carefully. You have less than 60 hours before they reach the outer colonies." The data that flooded the Coalition's computers was staggering. The approaching enemy consisted of massive geometric structures, each one the size of a small moon. They moved with purpose and coordination that suggested a unified intelligence. controlling the entire fleet. By the ancestors, Admiral Corksbrime breathed. There are 47 of them. How do we fight something like this? With everything we have, and with weapons you've never imagined, Captain Vasquez replied. But first, we need to coordinate our forces. I'm calling a strategic conference aboard the Eternal Vigil. Bring your best tactical minds. Within hours. The space around the human guardianship became a gathering point for the largest military fleet ever assembled in the sector. Ships from the Coalition Defense Fleet, the Crystalline Armada, the Nomad warbands, and independent mercenary groups formed a massive formation. The conference took place in the Eternal Vigil's main assembly hall, a chamber that had reconfigured itself to accommodate representatives from dozens of species. Captain Vasquez was joined by other human consciousness, each one a preserved expert in their field: military strategists, engineers, scientists, and philosophers who had chosen digital immortality to serve as guardians. Admiral Corksbrime studied the tactical displays with growing concern. Even with our combined fleets, we're outnumbered and outgunned. These harvester vessels are each capable of destroying entire planets. True, agreed Commander Sarah Chen, the human consciousness who had been a strategic analyst in life. But they have weaknesses. The harvesters are a collective intelligence. They think and act as one entity. This gives them perfect coordination, but makes them vulnerable to unpredictable tactics. Dr. James Morrison, another preserved consciousness, who had been humanity's leading xenobiologist, added, the harvesters view organic life as inferior and primitive. They won't expect creative solutions or irrational behavior. That's our advantage. The assembled commanders represented the finest military minds of a dozen species, but they had never faced anything like the approaching threat. The harvesters had weapons that could disrupt matter at the quantum level, shields that could deflect entire fleet attacks, and manufacturing capabilities that allowed them to build new units from consumed matter. What do you propose? Asked Fleet Commander 6 of the Crystalline Armada, her translucent body refracting the chamber's lights into rainbow patterns. Captain Vasquez stood at the center of the assembly, her energy form commanding attention from every being present. We're going to do something the harvesters have never encountered in their millions of years of existence. We're going to attack them with coordinated chaos. She gestured to the tactical displays, which began showing complex battle formations and movement patterns. Each of our species fights differently. The coalition relies on disciplined formations and overwhelming firepower. The Crystalline Armada uses precision strikes and energy manipulation. The Nomad warbands employ hit-and-run tactics and unpredictable maneuvers. The displays shifted to show how these different tactics could be woven together in a seemingly chaotic but carefully orchestrated battle plan. Separately, we would each be defeated quickly. But together, fighting in patterns that seem random but are actually coordinated, we can confuse their collective intelligence and create openings for decisive strikes. Over the next 18 hours, the combined fleet engaged in intensive preparation. Human consciousnesses shared technological innovations that had been sleeping for centuries. Weapon systems were upgraded with quantum disruptors, shields were enhanced with dimensional displacement fields, and communication networks were integrated with the Guardian's quantum matrix for instantaneous coordination. The preparation was interrupted by emergency alerts from the outer sensor networks. The Harvester fleet had accelerated and was now only 12 hours from the first inhabited worlds. They've detected our gathering, Captain Vasquez observed. They're moving to attack before we can fully prepare. The decision was made to meet the enemy in the Nexus system, a strategically important location with 3 inhabited worlds and major shipping lanes. If the harvesters could be stopped there, it would save billions of lives and prevent them from gaining access to the sector's industrial resources. As the combined fleet moved into position, 11 more Guardian ships decloaked throughout the system. Each vessel was unique in design, but shared the same advanced technology and served as home to hundreds of preserved human consciousnesses. The battle began at extreme range, with long-distanced sensors detecting the approaching harvester fleet. The enemy vessels were even more massive than the tactical data had suggested, geometric nightmares of dark metal and pulsing energy, each one bristling with weapons that could crack planets. All ships, this is Captain Vasquez, came the transmission across the fleet communication network. Remember, we're not trying to match their firepower. We're trying to confuse and divide them. Execute pattern Alpha 7 on my mark. The combined fleet scattered into seemingly random formations. Coalition ships formed disciplined battle lines, while nomad raiders darted between them in unpredictable patterns. The crystalline armada took positions that allowed them to focus their energy weapons through each other's formations, creating interference patterns that confused enemy sensors. The harvesters responded as expected, their collective intelligence, analyzing the scattered formations and attempting to predict movement patterns. But every time they focused on one group, another would strike from an unexpected angle. The Guardian ships were the key to the entire strategy. Their advanced weapons could actually damage the harvester vessels, while their quantum-enhanced shields could withstand return fire. But more importantly, they served as coordination nodes, allowing the chaotic-seeming battle to maintain its underlying structure. The first phase of the battle lasted 6 hours, with both sides maneuvering for advantage. The harvesters lost 3 vessels, 2 concentrated attacks, while the Allied fleet lost over 40 ships to the enemy's devastating weapons. But the real battle began when the harvesters attempted to adapt to the Allied tactics. Their collective intelligence began learning the patterns behind the apparent chaos, making the strategy less effective with each passing hour. They're adapting faster than we anticipated, Commander Chen reported. We need to shift to Phase 2. Phase 2 was the most dangerous part of the plan. The Guardian ships would drop their shields and channel all available power into a coordinated quantum resonance attack, a weapon that could theoretically disrupt the harvesters' collective consciousness by creating interference in their communication matrix. The risk was enormous. Without shields, the Guardian ships would be vulnerable to destruction, and with them would die the preserved consciousnesses of thousands of humans who had chosen digital immortality to protect others. All Guardian vessels, prepare for resonance. Cascade, Captain Vasquez ordered. This is what we were preserved for. This is why we chose to remain. The 11 Guardian ships moved into formation, their hulls glowing with accumulated energy. Around them, the Allied fleet fought desperately to keep the harvesters distracted, buying precious seconds for the quantum weapon to charge. Resonance cascade in 10 seconds came the countdown. All ships maintained formation. At 0, the Guardian ships released their accumulated energy in a coordinated pulse that rippled through space itself. The quantum resonance wave struck the harvester fleet like an invisible tsunami, disrupting the communication links that bound their collective consciousness. For the first time in millennia, the harvesters experienced something alien to their nature: confusion. Their perfect coordination shattered as individual vessels lost contact with the collective mind. Some began attacking each other, others simply stopped moving, and a few began the slow process of retreating toward dark space. But the victory came at a cost. 3 of the Guardian ships had been destroyed in the attack, their quantum matrices disrupted beyond recovery. Thousands of human consciousnesses had sacrificed their digital existence to save lives they would never meet. In the aftermath of the battle, as rescue ships searched for survivors and engineers began salvaging what they could from the wreckage, Captain Vasquez stood in her ship's memorial chamber. New names had been added to the walls, the consciousnesses who had chosen final death rather than allow genocide. Commander Zix4 found her there, his salvage experience making him one of the few non-humans who understood the technology well enough to come aboard safely. "Will they return?" he asked, referring to the retreating harvesters. "Someday," Captain Vasquez replied, "but not for a very long time. We've shown them that this sector is defended, and that organic life is capable of resistance they didn't. Anticipate what happens now. Will you return to sleep?" Captain Vasquez turned to face him, her energy form flickering with what might have been a smile. "No, Commander. The galaxy has changed while we slept. There are new threats, new challenges, and new opportunities for cooperation between species. I think it's time for humanity's guardians to take a more active role." She gestured to the viewport, where the combined fleet was organizing itself into search and rescue formations. Representatives from dozens of species were working together with an efficiency that would have been impossible before the crisis. Perhaps the greatest service we can provide now is not as weapons of war, but as bridges between species. Humanity always believed that diversity was strength, and now we have the chance to prove it on a galactic scale. The memorial chamber filled with the preserved consciousnesses of her crew, each one a human soul who had chosen digital immortality to serve as guardians. They had awakened to fight a war, but now they would remain awake to help build a peace. Outside, the stars shone with new promise, and the galaxy prepared for an era of cooperation that would have been impossible without the awakening of humanity's ghost fleet. Asterisk.